So welcome back to the channel. Today's a little different video. We're gonna do my thoughts on the recent announcement specs for Project Scorpio and give you what I think are my pros and cons of the system. So that's what we're doing. So Project Scorpio, what is it? It's a new box from Microsoft that's coming out later this year, which is pretty cool. We get another console release, right after Nintendo Switch. It's very rare that you get, console, then another console, and another console, especially mid-generation. Kind of interesting. So about a week ago, Digital Foundry got an exclusive look at the box and revealed the specs. So let's go over specs before I give my thoughts. It's a 6 teraflop GPU or 40 compute units at 1172 megahertz. A 8-core 2.3 gigahertz custom chip. It's probably based off of Jaguar. 12 gigs of GDDR5, 326 gigs memory bandwidth. Now we'll go back to that a little bit later. 1 terabyte of storage and a 4K Blu-ray player. So what does this all mean? It means this console will be a beast for sure. And if we're talking PC equivalent, I would give it, my guess, a Ryzen 5 paired with like a GTX 1070/80-ish. Digital Foundry, though, was shown Forza running on the Scorpio at native 4K with 60 frames per second, while only using 66% of the GPU. Now, that's pretty impressive. I mean, just for context, I have an i5 6600K at 4.2 gigahertz and a GTX 1070, and running that exact same game, I can get it in 4K, 50/60 FPS, but my GPU will be running at 99% utilization, unlike the Scorpio. So that just shows how optimized the game is and how optimized the hardware is to the engine. So speaking of that optimization, though, the crazy thing about it is that the new Xbox has optimized the hardware to the software. Now, usually it's the other way around. Apparently, they removed the bottlenecks from the hardware using their first-party engines as a base, which is why they can achieve that native 4K gaming at high fidelity with low GPU usage. And then the box also will have, a DirectX 12 baked into the hardware. This will make native DirectX 12 games run more efficiently on the machine without much effort for the devs. So let's start with the cons. So maybe not cons, maybe my concerns for the box. So who really is this for? I probably would say maybe hardcore Xbox fans, maybe console gamers only. If you're really into power, though, or specs, you would want the latest and greatest, you probably own a PC. And unless your PC is super outdated, why buy a Scorpio? You could always just change out, whatever part is outdated, like the GPU. Then let's talk games. Now, Microsoft has been lacking in first-party games. Let's be realistic here. Yes, Gears of War 4 was excellent. I really loved it. Halo 5 was kind of a letdown on the single-player part. Quantum Break was decent, but not groundbreaking. Graphically, it was pretty. Then you have Crackdown coming. I mean, do they really have anything up their sleeve that they could showcase for the Scorpio to convince people why they need the Scorpio? And then devs have lately been saying that they're going to support the Scorpio, which is great, but will it matter when most of those things could be already achieved on PCs? You know what I mean? Which leads me into another issue. If you have a PC, what is the incentive do you have to owning this Xbox? When most titles are already coming to PC that are first-party titles too as well. So the funny thing is, if devs optimize those game engines for Scorpio, users will benefit from their optimization on PC as well. So it's a win-win kind of, And then you got the price factor. Now, they haven't announced the price yet, but if it's more than $499, I really can't see it selling like hotcakes. I will even say $599 tops. You could get away with it, but you will have to really see the difference between PS4 Pro and Scorpio, because the PS4 Pro, while weaker than the Scorpio, is still better than an OG Xbox or PS4 at a way cheaper price point. So let's talk the pros of the box. You will be getting native 4K games from Microsoft Studios, whether it's 60 frames per second or 30 frames, maybe not all titles, but I bet the next Halo or the Gears will be in 4K, which is fantastic if you have a 4K TV or even a 1080p, because they'll get downsampled and you'll see the difference. Because I have the PS4 Pro, and the downsample games look way sharper. Another note is that the titles with DirectX 12 will be able to run at that full 1080p or even possible 4K with higher frame rate or visuals, sort of like the PS4 Pro. Games like Battlefield 1, Battlefront, even the new Battlefront coming out, Gears, War, Rise of the Tomb Raider. These titles will definitely get a benefit from the DirectX 12 support that's native to the box. Then you have 8 gigs out of the 12 of RAM dedicated to the games. This is a huge thing for open world games or high-res textures. If devs use RAM, and most devs love RAM, third-party games will and should look sharper with less draw-in and more detail on the Scorpio compared to the PS4 Pro. And the further that help that 8 gigs of RAM achieve that, the memory bandwidth. Now this is crazy, 326 gigs bytes a second, which is more than a GTX 1070, which costs at what, at $399. Now, especially if the price is at $499 for the box, that will be like a crazy steal. It's almost, the bandwidth is almost a GTX 1080. And then, you know, looking at the pictures I've seen, only the ones on the Microsoft site, it looks like the power supply is built into the box, so there's no more external freaking thing in the back or whatnot, you know, this gigantic box. So that's a great thing. It's kind of like the S, and I know they revealed more prototype ones that look kind of like the S, but that's awesome that they included that in there. You know, and people who want the latest and greatest that don't want a PC, and they don't want to jump into that market and build a PC, this is the box basically for you, because it's a 4K beefy gaming rig. Basically, it could probably achieve the same stuff on PC, maybe even better sometimes, because especially if the engines are totally optimized for the system. So that's cool. So Project Scorpio is going to have a tough time right out the gate if the price isn't right. Convincing PC gamers that this should be their secondary box will be tough, because, you know, now there's a Nintendo Switch, which is unique, and Nintendo brings their own exclusives. You have PS4 Pro, which is kind of similar to this, that is actually cheaper than the Scorpio. So basically, they're going to need to prove that if you want to capture PC market gamers, that this box is a secondary box. But other than graphics, I'm not sure how they do that. And then, you know, how do you convert the PS4 player into jumping onto the Scorpio and leaving their PlayStation ecosystem? It can't be with their exclusives, because Microsoft's exclusives are, in my opinion, not as strong as Sony's are. And I think a lot of people agree with that. And also, they have, like I said, their own mid-gen box, which is cheaper than the Scorpio, if the Scorpio does launch at $599 and even $499. But, you know, at least $499, it's a justifiable price that you could think, because it is packing a pretty good GPU in there, and it's pretty much foolproofing it for the next couple years. But for me, you know, I'll probably buy it. You know, I have a PC capable of handling most games, and a PS4 Pro. So why buy it for me is basically because I love tech. I love new tech. I love, you know, opening tech. I love playing with the tech. I also love games. So if they do make an exclusive for that console, I'm going to be like, oh man, I got to get on this. You know what I mean? So, you know, and competition is always good. No company should have the lion's share of the market. It'll make things stale, and progress will slow down and then drive the cost up. So, you know, it's great that we're going to have all these options, and, you know, instead of bickering about, you know, Xbox being better or PlayStation being better or PC Master Race, you know, just enjoy the games. And if you can only afford one, pick the one you can afford. Pick the one that has the best games that you want to play, and enjoy it, instead of worrying about what the other person has or what they don't have. So, again, like if you like, dislike if you didn't. But again, thank you for watching.